In this video tutorial, we'll edit digital camera raw images using Adobe Camera Raw, a plug-in application you can use from within Photoshop or Bridge. We'll use a variety of techniques to touch up and improve the appearance of digital photographs. I have Photoshop open, and I'm going to go to File, Browse in Bridge. I'm going to go to my Lessons folder, Lesson 12, the Mission folder, and I'm going to select the first mission image, hold down my Shift key, select the third mission thumbnail. The original photographs of a Spanish-style church is in Camera Raw file format. So it doesn't have the usual PSD or JPEG file extension we've worked with so far in this book. It was shot with a Canon camera, and its document uses the Canon proprietary .crw file extension. We'll process this Camera Raw image to make it brighter, sharper, and clearer, and save it both as a JPEG file for the web and as a PSD file so that you can work on it further in Photoshop. Opening images in Camera Raw. I'm going to go to File, Open in Camera Raw. I'm just going to select the letter F on my keyboard, or you can use the toggle full screen mode. It tells you it's the letter F. If the photos appear in a vertical strip along the left side of the Adobe Camera Raw window, click and hold the Film Strip menu button and choose Horizontal. This is so that the layout matches the figures in the lesson. If you prefer the vertical film strip, you can just choose it again. I like this layout better. For this lesson, it will be useful to see the file names for each image. Click and hold the film strip again and choose File Names. You can click through each image to preview each image before you begin. I'm going to go back to the Mission 01 file. Choosing an Adobe RAW profile. An Adobe RAW profile affects how Camera Raw interprets the original RAW data. This initial rendering is a visual starting point for the edits you make in Camera Raw. If the currently selected RAW profile produces a look that's far from what you want, another RAW profile may be a better starting point that saves you time. The Profile panel is below the histogram. From the Profile menu, I'm going to choose the drop-down menu and Adobe Landscape. The default RAW profile, Adobe Color, is good for general use. Adobe Landscape emphasizes colors in nature, like trees and skies, and a better starting point for this image. The goal of the Adobe Portrait profile is a natural representation of skin tones, and Adobe Vivid adds punchy color contrast. Adobe Monochrome provides a high-quality conversion to black and white. Adjusting white balance. An image's white balance represents the color conditions under which it was captured. A digital camera records the white balance at the time of the exposure. This is the value that initially appears in the Camera Raw dialog box image preview. White balance comprises two components. The first is temperature, which is measured in kelvins and determines the level of coolness or warmth of the image. That is, its cool blue-green tones or warm yellow-red tones. The second component is tint, which compensates for magenta or green color cast. Depending on the settings you're using on your camera and the environment which you're shooting, for example, with artificial light or mixed light sources, you may want to adjust the white balance image for the image. By default, As Shot is selected in the white balance menu, applying the white balance settings that were in your camera at the time of exposure. If you think you can improve on the current white balance setting, Camera Raw includes other white balance presets that you can try from the white balance menu. Under the presets, I'm going to choose Cloudy. Camera Raw adjusts the temperature and tint for a cloudy day. Sometimes a preset is an instant fix. In this case, though, the image still has a color cast. We'll adjust the white balance manually. I'll select the White Balance tool to the right of the White Balance menu. To set an accurate white balance, select an object that should be white or gray. The spot where you click becomes a reference for neutral white balance. Camera Raw shifts the image colors accordingly. Click the white clouds in the image. The color balance of the image changes. Click a different shade of the clouds. The color balance shifts again because that area of the clouds has slightly different color values. To find the best color balance quickly and easily, click the white balance tool on the area that should be neutral. Clouds are not always a neutral color depending on the weather and time of day. In Camera Raw, clicking different areas changes color balance without altering the original image file, so you can experiment freely. Click the white area of the small sign in the front of the church. This removes most of the color cast. To see the changes you made, click and hold the Before and After button at the bottom of the window and choose Before, After, Left, Right from the pop-up menu. Camera Raw displays the before image on the left and the after image on the right, so you can compare them. To see only the after image again, click and hold the Before After View menus and choose Single View. Or if you prefer, you can leave both views visible so you can see how the image changes as you continue to alter it. Making basic tonal adjustments in Camera Raw. At the top of the menu, you'll see the Edit mode. We're going to click Auto. The Auto button changes several settings in the light and color panels, and the image is greatly improved. Auto correction may produce a useful image right away, but it's based on advanced Adobe Sensei machine learning technology, which is trained using a wide variety of professionally corrected sample images. This makes Auto a quick way to reach a good starting point for your own edits. If you like the results, you can study and learn from the adjustments made by Auto. You can choose to keep some auto adjustments and change others, or you can enter your own adjustment as you're about to do. In the light panel, we're going to set the exposure to positive 50, the contrast to 0. Just going to type it in. Just going to select Tab. The highlights negative 20. I'll tap again. The shadows 70. I'll tap again. The whites 20. And the blacks are a negative 10. In the color panel, set vibrance to 20%. You can also double click these triangles to set them back to 0 if you need to 20. And in the effects panel, set clarity to 20. These settings brighten the image, especially the dark shadow areas, and boost color without oversaturating it. The shadow options helps open up the dark foliage. Applying sharpening. Photoshop offers several ways to sharpen, but when an image is in RAW format, it's good to apply basic sharpening in the Detail panel in Camera Raw to see the best preview of sharpening. View the image at 100% or greater magnification. I'm going to zoom in so I can see the cross. I'm going to do Control+. And then I'm just going to hold down with my space bar so I can see the cross at the top. In the Edit Mode panel stack under the histogram, so we're in the Edit Mode menu, we're going to scroll down until we see the Detail panel. If it's collapsed, you'll just want to open up the caret. The sharpening option determines how much Camera Raw emphasizes fine details. One approach is to exaggerate the sharpening value at first to more easily see the effects of other sharpening options, and after those settings are tuned, reduce the sharpening value back to a more realistic level. So we'll move the sharpening value to 100. And you can see that we've gotten some noise in this image now. We'll change the radius value to 0.09. The radius option determines how far out from a pixel that sharpening is applied. For properly focused images without motion blur, a radius value of 1 pixel works well to start. You might decrease the radius value for images with fine details that are precisely focused, or to increase radius to help sharpen blurred details. We'll keep the detail value at 25. The detail option controls the balance between sharpening edges and textures for images with fine details. Lower values draw sharpening towards edges, leaving broad areas smoother. Higher values can bring out textures in broad areas. We'll move the masking value to 61. And you can see how much this has cleared up some of that pixelation that was in the image before. The masking slider is similar to the detail slider in that it helps keep sharpening constrained along content edges. But masking is more generally useful because it isn't just for fine details. A higher masking value makes it easier to increase the sharpening value without over-sharpening noise and texture in broad areas of the image that should look smooth, such as face or the sky. Lower the masking value when you want sharpening to emphasize details in broad areas, such as the weave of threads in fabric. If you want to see what masking is actually doing, we'll press Alt on a Windows or Option on a Mac as you drag the masking slider. So I'm just going to drag this up. You can see, if I drag it back a little bit, you can see what that looks like. So everything that's in black will be hidden, and everything in white will be what will be sharpened in this image. Now I can drag this back to 70 is what's suggested. And I'll go ahead and use my masking slider once again and just drag that to 61. Camera Raw doesn't save changes into an original RAW file because RAW files are intended to be read-only. Your Camera Raw edits are saved in an XMP format called a sidecar files that are stored in the same file as the original file and have the same base name with an XMP file name extension. Some types of edits, such as masked adjustments and AI features, may also create a .acr sidecar file with the same base file name. When you move a raw image edited in Adobe Camera to another computer or storage medium, be sure to move its XMP file and ACR file if present with it. Adobe Camera Raw can include edits in the same file as the raw image when exporting to the open Adobe DNG RAW format. Synchronizing settings across images. All three of the church images were shot at the same time, under the same lighting conditions. Now that you've made the first one look great, you can automatically apply the same settings to the other two images using the Synchronize command. So I'm just going to do Control-0 to fit back in screen. I'm going to click and hold the film strip menu and choose Select All, or Control-A. I'll click and hold the film strip menu button and I'll choose Sync Settings. The Synchronize dialog box appears listing all the settings you can apply to the images. By default, some options are not selected. For this project, you can accept the default selections even though you didn't change all of the settings. I'm going to click OK in the Synchronize dialog box. When you synchronize the settings across all of the selected images, the thumbnails update to reflect the changes you made. To review the changed images, click each thumbnail in the film strip. Select the first one, and I can come over here and I can select before and after, left and right. I'll go to the next image. So here's the before and here is the after. Saving Camera Raw changes as new files. I need to go back to select all, or Control-A to select all of my files. At the top right corner of the Camera Raw window, I'll click the Convert and Save Selected Images button. In the Save Options dialog box, I'll choose Save in Same Location. In the File Naming area, I'll leave Document Name in the first box. From the Format menu, I'm going to choose JPEG, and I'm going to set the quality to high, which is already set. In the color space area, I'm going to choose sRGB IEC 61966-2.1. In the image sizing area, I'm going to select Resize to Fit, and then choose Long Side from the Resize to Fit menu. So I'm going to choose Long Side, and I'm going to enter 800 pixels. This will set the long side of an image to 800 pixels, whether it's a portrait, tall, or a landscape-wide image. When you choose long side, the dimensions of the short side will automatically be adjusted proportionately. I'll choose the resolution to 72 pixels. These settings will save your corrected images as smaller, downsampled JPEG files, which you can share with colleagues on the web. They'll be resized so that most viewers won't need to scroll to see the entire image when it opens. Your files will be named Mission 01 JPEG, Mission 02 JPEG, and Mission 03 JPEG, and we'll click Save. Just so you know that the resolution is too low for print quality. If you wanted these to be print quality, you would need the resolution to remain at 300. I'll select Save. In the Camera dialog box, a readout in the bottom left corner indicates how many images have been processed until all the images have been saved. The CRW thumbnails still appear in the Camera dialog box. However, in the Mission folder, you now have JPEG versions as well as the original raw image files, which you can continue to edit or leave another time. We'll open a copy of the Mission 01 image in Photoshop. In the film strip, we'll just select the Mission 01 CRW image thumbnail. Then we'll click the menu options to the right of the Open button and choose Open as Object. The Open as Object button opens the image as Smart Object layer in Photoshop. Instead of converting the Camera Raw file to Photoshop format, the Smart Object preserves it in Camera Raw format inside the Photoshop document. This lets you continue making RAW-based adjustments at any time. By double-clicking the Smart Object thumbnail, in the Layers panel, it will open back up Camera Raw. If instead you had just click Open, the image would be permanently converted into a normal Photoshop layer and no more RAW format edits would be possible. So I'm just going to click OK to get out of this. It takes me back into Photoshop. In Photoshop, I'll choose File, Save As. I'll put this back in my Lesson 12 folder, the Mission folder. It's going to be Mission 01, and I'm going to append to the end of this Final. And it's going to be a Photoshop PSD file format. Select Save. I'll say OK. Now if I go back to my Lessons folder, you can see in here that I have the Mission 01 Final JPEG saved, and you can also see that they are saved. This is the original CRW file, and this is now the JPEG file. So this is the file format that they've been saved to, and this is the XMP file. This is what they were mentioning that you would need to save with your CRW file if you were to move this to another computer or a storage device. I'm going to close this, and then we'll continue with the rest of the lesson.